Great. Okay. So thank you all for being here. We're very honored to have Carla Heiser with us. Carla, I have been hearing about for years from Carol Reichert, who became an acolyte of Michael McNeil, who has, I think, 160,000 acres around the country, that farmers are using his growing methods and his research. Out of that, I will let Carla tell the whole story of how it happened. But she is a nutritionist and a researcher, and I asked her to come today to specifically talk about one study that they're doing in Purdue, which in my view is an absolute game changer. Absolutely will drive an understanding of just exactly how central nutrition is and how it can handle a lot of the issues that we deal with, like autism. So, and Carla was there at the Capital City Fruit Tour, which will become very famous over time. That was really a cool thing.
Thanks.
So Carla, thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here. Oh my gosh, what an audience. So I'm really going to present to you an outline of the PEARL study. So PEARL is a lot shorter for personalized nutrition education, assessment, lifestyle, and real food. We picked autism. And we picked autism, you guys, because it's hard. So we wanted to take a look under the hood and find out what was driving some of the symptoms, condition, behaviors, and see what we could uncover. I live in Chicago, and it's Northwestern territory. And I need to let you know that prior to launching this study in my medical nutrition practice, we were supported by Northwestern to catch data. They have a lab service, and if we do it the right way, we can bill insurance and have a good part of laboratory testing to demonstrate what's going on the inside of the body. So that case-by-case data capture got us the attention of the science team at Purdue, and I have a professional relationship. I used to work in academia, and I presented, and they're allowing us to collaborate. We're doing the clinical protocol in our practice, and they're helping us with data analytic and coming up with the next questions. So we do believe that it starts in the soil, and that what's going on in the soil would correlate to gut microbiome or chemicals, contaminants in the agriculture, possibly in the human, and we're just going to try to show you about what happened. The other miracle in all of this is that there are labs that we can't get covered by insurance. There are specialty diagnostic labs across the nation, not unsimilar to what I'm understanding about agriculture. So one company does DNA full biome with GI, and the other does mycotoxins and heavy metals and environmental toxins, nutritional genetics with SNPs, like how are what we are putting into our body affecting our genes. So you get that kind of a gist. So my partner is a chemist and a certified health educator. We go to a meeting, and we met with the CEOs and the chief science officers of these companies, and we asked them to sponsor us. And when they looked at our proposal, they said, Carla, you don't have your salary or your team's salary in this proposal. They said, well, frankly, do you have our salaries in your budget? Can you afford that? And frankly, they don't. They're not counting on us coming in to ask for what we're asking for. So I said, I don't want to ask for what I'm not going to be able to get, but can you sponsor us with the specialty labs? And they all said yes. So now I also have a science table with chief science officers at the same table, and they all have a different specialty. So there's it's not competitive, it's kind of collegiate and convergent and collaborative. So we hosted this launch project like we were working on a academic NIH kind of platform, and we have a lot of counsel to go back to and talk to about what we're uncovering, discovering, like that. So that said, the PEARL study, the co-PI, Anita Panjwani, and she's amazing. And what we're going for is with ASD, just to give you a little bit of a background about what we know, looks like 60 to 80% male. These are high risk factors for autism. And then the environment that we're living in with a typical American diet, also known as the SAD diet, with beyond 70% ultra-processed food and the chemicals that are included in that, on top of an American lifestyle. I don't have time, I don't know how to boil water, I don't know how to cook, and all of the on the go. All of what we're talking about, from pesticides to mycotoxins that don't routinely get tested, even if we are regen ag or organic. And then the parental factors that might be contributing to this. Current statistics, if we just go broad, is that between overweight, obesity and severe obesity, it's 8 out of 10 Americans. That's a lot of people, right? But I think you might have a question.
Pesticides, do you notice a Midwest clusters of occurrences? Are you looking at across the country or just the Midwest? Or?
Well, right now we're in Indiana. Mainly, there's a few people from Illinois. There's one mom who drove from Virginia to West Lafayette for enrollment for her daughter, but we're working within that university system. They didn't sponsor glyphosate, but we have it frozen for future analysis. But there's others that we did get sponsored on.
Is it just food, or is it also tap water?
Well, it's a really good question. What we're doing with the new diet therapy is we said, let's work with what we have. Like, there are some statistics where the percentage of American children have never eaten fruit, or it's like, I think 33%, and don't eat vegetables, 50%. Don't drink water, whether it's clean or not, 20%. They're drinking other stuff. So we said, let's go with MyPlate, USDA MyPlate. Well, first off, we pay for it in the way that that's been developed. And if we could get people to eat fruits and vegetables and balance their meals, we didn't want to go diet. We wanted to go strategy. So that's what we've been teaching, like color, balance, healthy fats. So that's how we've been talking to them. But we did make a change. And the one change, this is pretty important, is we went USDA MyPlate organic. So we didn't tell them to not eat pizza. We said eat organic pizza. Organic apple pie, we're asking them to eat the pie after they eat the dinner or the meal, but getting them from an ultra-processed to a faster food to a convenient to whole food, it's a process, and it's taking a lot to interact. We had a mom and family go camping, and they were making s'mores, and they basically told their autistic teenager, you can't have this because you're in the study, and then all the other kids got to eat s'mores. I was like, oh my gosh, make the organic s'more. And she's like, oh, it's expensive. I'm like, well, then make your own marshmallow, because that's not very expensive. You can do it, right? Or come up with another dessert. This isn't like a meal plan for just one of your 5 family members. This is for the whole team. And the nice thing about this is, as we're interacting with the autistic children, young people, we're letting them know that they're the leader of the health of their family, and they really like that, right? So, and it's really engagement, right? So the key here, which we learned about when I was in undergraduate school, that inflammation was the driver. That's a while ago, for the record, right? And it's still here. So with the nutrigenomic co-investigator, his name is Dr. Bob Miller, he runs the genetic company. So the genes that we're studying are all of the ones that drive inflammation. There's 1,200 of them. And then he's delivering us SNPs, the altered genes. I think per person, we're going to have 250,000 SNPs per person just with inflammatory genes. These are what's altered. So interestingly, what we're trying to do is calm down inflammation. And now for the biochemist in the audience, because applied biochemistry is such a driver, let's just pretend that we're talking about a map and you're trying to go from New York to Fairfield. And you're driving, across the nation and you hit a roadblock. Well, that's arsenic or mercury or alpha toxin or glyphosate. It doesn't matter. They're all in the way. So if now that's what we're going to identify, and that could be the cause of these alterations. And then the next thing is if we don't have the nutrients in there, the nutrients will drive going forward. You can get the roadblock out of the way, but now you got to get gas, right? So you need the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. So the reason why I'm saying that is because some of those maps going from, let's say Philadelphia to Cincinnati, we think it's a good idea. We think calcium's a good idea for bone health, but if you have too much of it and not enough of something else, it could be part of that inflammatory pathway. So that's a lot of science that just came out of my mouth, but that's where Dr. Miller's helping us, and more isn't necessarily better. So the last thing is that we created a multivitamin that has all natural ingredients, and we didn't go too much. We did it balanced based on our retrospective data. So I'm going to see what your question might be.
I was going to say, would it be more accurate to say that it's the toxicity that isn't playing?
Could be. Well, the thing is now we're going to have the data. We're going to have a lot of data, and we're hoping that this is going to be what we can sit down and we can, in a scientific model, you got to ask one question. Remember when I said we made one change, we went from my plate to organic my plate? Now we can say, what are the questions? So if we see that glyphosate or ochratoxin is a problem, then we can take out the ochratoxin and keep the same protocol and see what happens. But that would be study number 2. And we think there's going to be number 3, number 4, number 5, because you can only do one thing at a time. Make sense? We kind of have 2 things, and this is for Cornell and others that are on Zoom. We did do a well-designed multivitamin, and that's because the American Medical Association says a good multivitamin is a good idea. So we tried to make a good one. And what I mean by that is some of the commercial brands that are on the shelf, they're made with synthetic ingredients, so we didn't do that. We got all natural, and we kept it within the recommended guidelines with Bob Miller's, influence. His information helped us design that. And we got it done by a pharmacy, so we know that it's quality assured like that. And they sponsored us as well because they thought this was a good idea. It's just showing how the maternal diet could drive oxidative stress, and then the inflammation in the environment could impact the presentation as autism. But it's not just what mom eats, it's the environment that she is around, and it's also how she was brought up. So moms do come through this and they do feel like, what else could I have done? But it's complicated. So there's not a guilt consideration here. It's a, how do we then educate people to take the noise away when they're thinking about making a baby and then growing a baby like that. So they suffer from all sorts of different things, from GI to sensory, behavior, the limitations with food, and you've heard about this, and it's been a lot of talk about it, endocrine disruption. My analogy to driving from the East Coast to the Midwest, there's a disruption when you have the roadblocks along the way, and your body can't do things that it's supposed to do. So if we create a simple slide, it's what's in your body and that's not supposed to be there, take it out. What's in your body and should be there, but you don't have enough of it, put it back. And what we need is testing. And some of this testing isn't covered, so maybe the data can go to Medicare, Medicaid, and say, hey, can you please allow us to test so that we can know what we're talking about as far as not guessing, because it's kind of like a needle in a haystack if you try to guess. So here's our goals. We want to evaluate food quality, nutrient density, a whole lot of language about what you guys are talking about, and then how we can do it within an educated system. There's so much infusion of my mother's sister's daughter said that we should do this, right? But what's right and what's right for you might be different than what would be applicable to somebody else. But if we go wholesome, that's a really good place to start, and then see. So if we go from the ultra processed to the eat real, organic, and then pay attention to the quality of the water, because that's another place where infusion of chemicals and contaminants can occur, then you can get a pretty good return on that. And that return could be like 80 or 90%. And the Blue Zone is out there looking at this kind of lifestyle and eating plan. They don't go to organic, but they do go to real food, and they're getting some really good results. So this food is medicine, is here to stay, and it's going to come from the universities filtering into the communities, and then the consumer has to make a decision. Do you buy the Twinkie, or do you make your own homemade s'mores, stuff like that? And it could also taste really good. It's kind of like anybody go to Italy and complain, just for the record. The food is really delicious, or France or Germany. They do not have the same kinds of infusion of chemical contaminants that we do. And it's something like this. In America, we have 10,000 additives, preservatives, chemicals that are allowable. It's like 400 in Europe. So that's a big difference. Taking a look at feasibility, acceptability, how we navigate this along the way. We're generating outcomes data, in particular microbial patterns, and all the others that I mentioned. We want to see the improvements across the markers, and then we want to come up with what do we do next. And the impact on our mindful wellness. And if you look at any of those biochemistry maps, when you go from eating turkey at Thanksgiving to making serotonin, which is the calming and the happy neurohormone kind of thing, here's the ingredients, like they're called vitamins and minerals, so if you don't have them, you don't make calm, you don't make cogent or cognitively aware. So that's why micronutrients and how we feed our body are so important. And it goes for all of the pathways. The drivers are micronutrients. Macros are, carb is there for energy. And here's a shocker, protein to build muscle, not for calories. It does have a calorie value, but it's better if we use it to build your muscle. And also fat, we need it. We need it for our brain and for our cell membranes and for our immune system. So those are like the big tickets, and then the small versions are the drivers. They make sure every cell in your body is functioning. And that's called A, B, C, D, all the B vitamins and the minerals that are so important to drive us being healthy. So what we did was, they needed a formal diagnosis. We picked, we actually got this made to 9-year-old, so 9 to 35. And then our requirement was that they would commit to being adherent, that they would follow the plan. And that they were able to follow directions, and they were free of severe aggressive behaviors. Biologic parent or legal guardian was available, and that they were interacting or living with a parent or caregiver, and primary language is English. The severe disability and serious illness were the only ineligibility criteria for this bench project to kind of help us create the next questions. So we took the MyPlate and we made it organic and colorful, and this is the kind of instruction we gave them. Balance your meal, eat the rainbow. Like, we didn't want to talk to them like we were diet or, dictators. We wanted it to be something that they would be able to strategize, whether they were out to dinner or at their grandma's or in their life. This is everything that we're doing with assessment from the different kinds of markers at the different time points. We did publish the poster session, and now we're looking at finishing, and then we'll have the ability to start to analyze the data and start writing papers so that we could get our thoughtfulness out there with regard to all of this. And our declaration is we could search and replace autism, and you can put in any diagnosis from lupus to migraine headache. In this design, autism is the diagnosis, and it's our thoughtfulness is that it has to do with their genetics. And then because these insults are coming through, deficiencies or contamination, that they're more susceptible because of what their genetics look like. But somebody who had a less fragile system might show up with a migraine. And we're not exactly sure, but we're really looking forward to how we cross evaluate the data.
How come you're not doing any neurotransmitter tests?
Well, that company didn't say yes, right, like that. So that's that. And the neurotransmitter testing that we can do, it's a urine test. So there's a criticism about urine being valid. There are validity studies that have been demonstrated, but not necessarily in this population, so we did not do that. But we do have organic acid testing and nutrient testing, so you can take that and then map it to the neurotransmitter that would rev you, or the neurotransmitter that would calm you. So we could do it in a different way. So we intend on trying to understand that this kid is always revved versus this is why you're always tired, something like that, and we can look at it from a different angle. Does that make sense? Gotcha.
What's the frequency of your testing?
We did it at baseline in 12 weeks. So we're just getting the first group. We did 3 groups. First group will be completed at the end of October. We'll be done with the project by the end of December.
It's not 16 weeks long?
It's 12 weeks.
Oh, okay. So I saw 16 on the other slides.
Sorry about that. I borrowed Anita's slides, so no worries, thanks.
Is there, I may have missed it, is there an age group focused on the study?
9 to 35. And the other one might be that we did have lead-in so that we were getting them used to or eating real food, so part of it was the 0 to 12, so sorry about that one.
Do you think in the future you'll have like functional MRI and EEG?
I don't know. I mean, there's a whole lot of brains around that table, so at that part, I'm a participant. It's a great question, like that to see, but we wanted to have the justification for what we want to do next. It's a great question.
How many are in your study, and how many age-matched controls?
No, the age-matched controls. We don't have a control group at this time, right? Like we have 36, and this is bench to say create the right research questions like that. So it's demonstrating that we're working together with industry, with academia, with clinical, professionals like that. And now we're going to write the next grant. So we're kind of like at the beginning. So this is it. National Science has opened a platform of convergence. And in the last, I think it was 2 years ago, they did convergence for health. They had convergence for other specialties. And so now it's convergence accelerated underneath the health umbrella. We did apply and we did not get funded. They gave us feedback about the group that we brought together and how we're doing what we're doing, and they want to see our work. So they want us to demonstrate not only that we have friends, but that we all can play in the same sandbox and that we are delivering data, and then we're going to apply again. So try once, and then you revise it, and you try again. So in that design. So we asked, and each of those investigators said yes, and we're really happy to have the science around the table talking to each other, including the scientists at the university and at the community level. So we're interested in creating collaborative hubs and standing up for innovation and impact, technology, workspace diversity, community eventing, and being able to take what we're learning and then have it ripple over to the people that we serve and that we take care of, that we care about. And that's pretty much the Pearl Study and what's coming next. So I am the founder of a charity. It's called Triada, and that in Greek means trilogy. And we have 3 channels in farming, food, and health. And we want to continue to work together to braid. We don't see that doing it independently makes any kind of sense. So we're looking forward to the possibility of working and using this kind of a platform as to why we're here. That's what I just said about the soil, plant, and human health, like that. Again, this is us calling our friends. We called our farmer friends, we called our food and business friends, and we called our clinical academic friends, and came together. We'll go, this is what's in this presentation from mission vision to what we're doing next. And here's the mission vision for Triada. And the ability to go from the quality soil and water and to teach and train, and then to create science-driven health campaigns. This way, we're pretty interested in establishing trust and that we know what we're talking about. And one of our side taglines is to put our science where our mouth is and know that we're telling you the truth, and how to help people short course, not go through. We see people struggling with making all these different decisions because that's what they read on the Google School of Science or what somebody else told them, something like that. And we see that we would like to have a future of smart food, health, and services that will sustain our mind and body health, and our goal is to foster vibrant, healthy communities. So the ag side is, the signature program is called Tahi, and that's led by Dr. McNeil, and we're introducing others so we can convergently work together because nobody can do this by themselves. And then the Pearl study, so we've got the two areas of focus. And Next Gen Ag, looking at soil, food, and nutrition, and focused on education and community building, healthier farms, bodies, minds, and communities. That's the sincerity of it. I'm happy to get you the slides so you can see this, but a bunch of these slides are going to be outlining ag, and I can help and deliver it, but you guys are going to be smarter than me on that, and Dr. McNeil will see this and he'll smile. Right? Right. That's fun. These are all the partners that we have in addition to Purdue. There's going to be mRNA from Iowa State, and then there's a gentleman at Utah State. His name is Stefan von Vliet, and he has ultramass spec, and he's doing nutrient composition of food. He's a nutritionist, kinesiologist, and he's tying what we're eating to how our body health. He's in the endocrine disruption world. And these are all of the sponsors so far. I told you that salary is not included in what we have been doing. We valued what our sponsorship is. It's about $1.2 million. That's community coming together. And those scientists aren't getting paid to help us either. So this is, when somebody says to any of us, why are you doing this? It's because it's the right thing to do. And we want the data so that we can bring it out and make stuff happen in that way. And we're hopeful that it's powerful for you as well. So these are our achievements, and that I've already explained. And we do think it starts with food, and then we have other work to do after that. So we have a team of agriculturists. We launched the 501c3. We got some soft money to get other stuff taken care of, but it's I think it might be like $25,000, and that's paying for labs that were not covered and things like that. And then we created a launch plan for the agricultural training. We do have a relationship with Iowa Farmers and National Farmer Union. We're going down a similar course and alongside of Bionutrient Institute, and we're looking at bringing together the communities from Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, and we're focused centrally with an idea of how we can expand, but stay home and get it started here and then look at what we can do over that course. A lot of this for me comes from the church I go to, and there's going to be a pretty big community center type of facility. It's kind of a fun story. We're like at other places or looking at distributing food during COVID, and they're going, Carla, there's hot dogs in the boxes. And I'm saying, this takes time. Give us a little bit more time. But now what we're interested in doing is having those food boxes be accessible to people who are in need, and how they get access to healthy, clean food, and also the quality of the food in the box. And these are just different people that we know that have helped us get to where we are and hopefully where we're going next, kind of thing. So this is kind of fun, you guys. This is a farmer's market in Chicago. Like, they have markets there, right? And it's kind of interesting when I present, like, I kind of see that we can build I do see that we can build a bridge between city, country, and city can help country and country can help city. There are some really unique things that happen on either platform. And our other tagline is, we are better and stronger together. And anybody who thinks, and from my angle, that they can do it all by themselves, I would prefer to be on a collaborative team in that way. And so that's also, that farmers market is led by a nonprofit. It's called Green City Market, and they're helping to get, like, from sustainable, regenerative ag to organic. That's the way that you can be participating there. And they've hosted some really nice events, and education is coming. So in a couple of weeks, we've invited USDA to come to Chicago, and we want to talk. We want to say, here's who we are, this is what we're doing, here's our friends. Probably have 100 people at this meeting, the Chicago Cultural Center. If you want to come, you're welcome. And we want to say, hey, we need you, and how can we help you? And we want to create a solution. We're not really there to, like, criticize and get into a debate. We just want to help our grandma and our daughters and our daughters' children to make sure that our legacy and our team and our family is better like that. So we're doing that, and then we have a board meeting the next day that we have invited gallery, and what we're doing is creating a plan for 25 together. So that's what's happening then. And we kind of love this one with the farmer and the doctor and the chef in the kitchen, and bringing the team together. So we did this for an investor, fundraising presentation, but here in that green section in northwestern Iowa, that's where the focus of organic farming is. He's been doing that for quite some time. And we're working on summarizing his data so you can see quality and yield and looking at having that be expanded. But there's a whole lot of farms that are not organic in the country of the United States, and I guess that's the charge. And then these are all of his slides, which I won't read through, but I will have it available for you guys. And these are the distinctions from, like, traditional ag to what Dr. McNeil is standing behind, and how testing and personalizing farming is what he's doing on his platform. And how that all works. So again, instead of creating a new certification, we're just calling it TAHI, and then seeing about how we can adopt these practices. And some of his results are quite staggering. And when you hear him present, you'll see what I mean. But you've done that.
Well,
so.
sort of parenthetically, those strawberries, we heard him talk at the Nature Summit at Drake last week, said those strawberries are this big and they are red all the way through. He said they are the most delicious strawberries you'll ever eat. So that's really what we're talking about, just raising up the quality so much.
And he wants to teach, like, farming that is, like, getting started, and he wants to teach seasoned farmers about what the possibility of making revisions and adjustments in their farming practices, and then the yield data is pretty incredible. And then you still have to consider what happens when Mother Nature is having an impact, like that. From regenerative strategies beyond organic, establishing healthy soil microbiome. I'm really interested in how our data corresponds to some of his data, and the approaches that are not toxic, climate smart, and environmentally safe. We have somebody on our team who's paying attention to green gas and what's happening with that, and his name is Dr. Jeff Bonner, and how the TAHI brand is including these methodologies, and the educational programs that are being established are going to include diversity, and from beginning to seasoned, and even homesteading. For the record, they want, like, farms on top of buildings in the cities or within, like, different ways of accessing, because there's food deserts on the south side of Chicago, and even the ability to get local farming in a city takes something, for the record. So anyway, people are pretty interested in it because they want to, have an impact on the health of their family. interactive, engaging faculty and engaging the community. And we do think that that's a pretty big driver, to have community involved and to hear voices, but also have their participation. Resiliency is a big word, right? Efficiency, from water to carbon cycle and to crop rotation. So you guys all know a whole lot about that. And this is a big deal. So he has data, he has the genetics of the soil and the minerals of the soil. So that's going to go side by side with the Pearl study. So we want to see about what his results show compared to our human results, like that. And then this was me, like, you know, the idea of like having farms on top of buildings and going from the country to the city and how we could help each other. So that's a little bit about what we're about. It's triadaworld.org if you want to check out our website and see what we're up to. But I appreciate the opportunity to come here and to meet you guys and to be in this discussion. So happy. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.